Last week we got a new trailer for Test Drive Unlimited Solar Crown, and with it we got the club letter number 6, the competitive experience with it. So today I'm going to be going through all the new information that we now know about Test Drive Unlimited Solar Crown. Now just to quickly mention the trailer, you'll be watching it as you're watching this video anyway, but it's basically showcasing the more specific racing aspect versus, say, the cruiser video that we got previously, which more showed the more chill cruising. So in this trailer, you'll see racing, you'll see the dealership again with upgrading your performance, you'll see the livery editor and instant challenges, and I'll be going into instant challenges because it's mentioned in that Solar Club letter. So with that, what did they kind of say? Well, they started off with mentioning about the streets versus the shops, essentially the two clans in the game, and the fact that you don't have to ally yourself to either one of them. You can help one of them out on top that will help you achieve your objectives faster and unlock exclusive clan rewards, but again, you don't have to actually fully align yourself, so you can dip into probably both clans. They also mention about the sort of social crown competition, which you can acquire new cars and things throughout that event, and there's lots of ways that you can acquire them, and that includes taking part in driving challenges, either on or off-road races, time trials, that sort of thing, exploring and discovering new districts, roads, secret areas, finding and completing wrecks so you can restore iconic cars only accessible by exploring the island, and using the Frim system to perfect your driving skills and earn solar coins. And in addition to activities organized by the Solar Crown, you can defend your clan's colors by taking part in clan races and by throwing down an instant challenge to members of the opposing clan. Now, I mentioned it earlier, let's talk about the instant challenges. So you can directly challenge somebody to a 1v1 race duel, and the similar thing that another game that does is probably the 1-to-1 sprint races that you do in Forza Horizon, which you can do, I think, with AI and with players. So it's basically similar to that. And with this, you have minimum information about that person. So you get their name, the clan, the car, the performance rating, and the amount of solar coins that's currently at stake. Now, once you've currently accepted this challenge, you start a head-to-head race along a unique route that's randomly created and depends on the location on the island, and each player has already configured their betting profile and the amount they are ready to stake for each challenge. So once the instant challenge has been started, the goal is to cross the line before the other player and win the entire pot, and if the player that you beat is from the rival clan, your influence in your clan will increase. Now, players can disable this if that's not your sort of thing, and once you've turned it off, other players can no longer challenge you and will have less influence within the aligned clan. Now let's talk about the live events, which is what they mentioned next in this. So they split this into lifestyle battles, hotheads, and high stakes. So lifestyle battles, there are 5 different of these. So there's the instant challenge lifestyle battles, winning the most instant challenges. There's frantic spender, which is spend the most money, maximum gain, accumulate the most money, and the need for frims, which is earn the most solar coin in frim activities, and betting challenges, which win the most solar coins in instant challenge bets. As for hotheads, this is time attacks that are randomly selected to become hothead races each day on Hong Kong Islands, and players will need to achieve the best possible time and climb as high as possible on the leaderboard by the end of the day, and the amount of solar coins you earn depends on where you finish. And the final thing was high stakes. So it's a little bit like hotheads, but time attacks are randomly selected to become high stakes races. And when an event becomes a high stakes, a new target time is set. Participants get 3 chances to beat the time. They also need to pay an entry fee for each attempt, and the entry fees are added to an overall pot, then split among the drivers who beat the target time. So let's talk about racing in Test Drive. It's the primary multiplayer event within Solar Crown, and if there aren't enough players in an event, they will fill it in with AI drivers. But each Solar Crown race will have certain restrictions on participation, and those restrictions may involve the car category, the year, the make, a specific model, the type of transmission allowed, so 4-wheel drive, rear-wheel drive, or 4-wheel drive, the type of engine, thermal, hybrid, electric, and finally the car's performance rating, and each race always has at least one restriction, but can be as many as 3. So you could have for example, it could be supercar, the max year of 2010, and 4-wheel drive. In addition to these restrictions, which already allow for an infinite number of race variations, there are different types of races. So first of all, you've got your standard circuit race, which is a closed loop with checkpoints, and the number of laps can vary. Your basically standard race. And then you've got your sprint and A to B with checkpoints. You've got time attack, which are solo races, and you need to reach a given location via checkpoints across the line before the countdown ends. And the faster you reach the finish line, the higher your ranking. And in this game mode, you can also play against the ghost of any player in the rankings. Next is domination. In this one, players earn points according to their position each time they reach a checkpoint, and these are A to B races. So it's almost a sprint race on steroids, and the player with the most points at the end of the race is the winner. And in a race like this, there is randomly determined rush checkpoints that doubles the points awarded at that location. They've also mentioned that they're going to have more race modes and challenges, including some more popular ones from Test Drive Unlimited 2 that are also planned for post-launch updates. And they also said about racing that starting from level 20, various races are randomly selected in different districts of Hong Kong Island to become a Solo Crown competition race. And by participating in these races, your position in the league changes according to where you finish in the races, and drivers can move up from bronze to diamond and reach the upper elements of the Solar Court, which indicates the best drivers from the Solar Crown, and the best of this elite becomes the Solar King or Queen at the end of each season, becoming the new face of the Solar Crown. Kind of take this more of as a more competitive ranking mode for Test Drive, and participants are rewarded according to how high they place in the leagues. Members of the Solar Court and the Solar King or Queen receive an exclusive new car, and at the end of the season, participants' positions in the leagues are then reset for the next competition. Now with this, they also talked about driving assists. So what are the driving assists that they have? So they have ABS system, so that's the anti-block braking system for better brake control, which is adjustable from 0 to 100%. You've got TCS, which is your traction control system for better road grip, and also adjustable from that same 0 to 100% parameter. You've also got a race line that shows the ideal trajectory to follow in your races. You set it to be visible, just visible for bends, or disabled. Gearbox that can be set to semi-automatic or manual. And then there are also overall presets. So you've got novice, intermediate, or expert presets that are available instead of a complete custom one. So it's all the standard sort of presets and assists that you would expect in any racing game, essentially. They also mention about car setup, so you can focus your optimizations on several clear and concrete variables, things like acceleration power, so torque, top speed, braking, and handling. And you can do this by purchasing new mechanical parts, which you've seen in the trailer, and some modifications will directly affect your car's performance, things like your intake, your exhaust, brakes, transmission, aerodynamics, cooling, etc., where others have more of an impact on cars' behavior instead of racing conditions, so close or wide, gear ratio, the tyre choice depending on the surface, suspension, etc. There's also changes to the driving mode. So with driving mode, you can refine your settings for your car so more experienced players can customize and set up their own modes, which affect in a simplified way speed, stability, handling, and braking. And each vehicle has a stock factory preset and 3 further presets from among the following. So there's sport for high-speed sports driving, more designed for racing or major throughways like motorways. It uses precise steering, adapted for high-speed maneuvers. It's got sport mode, retains flexible handling suited to city driving and makes it easier to cross sidewalks. Then we've got trail for racing on dirt and gravel, and that has more responsive steering and a close gear ratio for frequent acceleration. There's dynamic, which is oriented towards urban racing in confined areas. It uses a close gear ratio for frequent acceleration again. There's dedicated off-road for safe driving on all surfaces, whether that's asphalt, tracks, whatever it is. You've got rain for wet conditions and driving on slippery surfaces. Circuit, which is a responsive but challenging driving mode. It uses a wide gear ratio to get the most of the engine power. It stabilizes the vehicle but makes it more sensitive to road hazards. Cross country, which is suited for crossing obstacles. It uses a close gear ratio to provide lots of torque and has more flexible suspension, and this mode makes you more competitive off-road. And finally, you've got relax, the safest and most comfortable driving mode suited for cruising and exploration. And that's all this sort of driving modes that are available. There are quite a few of them for different specific areas there. They finished off the letter, this month's letter, with the summary of the last closed playtest of number 2. So they said that there were 5,000 players that participated in that, and that playtest allowed them to test the different types of servers and identify areas for improvements so they can ensure you can get best possible multiplayer experience. And I can only imagine they're going to try and increase this as time goes on. We know what happens when servers aren't tested properly and they break down. It's not great from day one, so that's really important. They have said that the new closed playtest will be coming in the coming weeks. It will be open to even more people and more regions. Those that took part in playtest number 1 and number 2 will automatically be invited to join, and playtest will still be subject to the same rules of confidentiality, so no streaming, captures, or anything like that are allowed. It's basically under NDA, and you can register for the NDU newsletter on the link I'm going to put in the description below. And if you've already completed the playtest registration form sent by email, there's no need to send in a new one, even if you haven't been selected yet. So that signing up for it, for those people that are new, it goes through that TDU newsletter that I just mentioned. And that's it. That is everything they told us in the latest Solar Club letter number 6, focusing on the competitive experience. I would like to know from you guys, what exactly was your kind of favorite from what they went through today? I think the driving modes are quite interesting. It's quite different and is going to definitely expand the kind of gaming and driving opportunities for future. And that's going to do it for today's video. If you enjoyed this content, like to see more like this one, make sure you're subscribed. I have other Test Drive Unlimited Solar Crown going through all the other sort of information, so you can check that out in the Test Drive Unlimited Solar Crown playlist. And I'll be continuing doing more content on Test Drive Unlimited Solar Crown as it comes along, all the way up to a launch and beyond. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Take care.